Hi, I'm David Alford.
And I'm Madeleine Bullen.
And this is Cine-pop Reacts. Today we're talking about Falcon and Winter Soldier, the second series in the Disney Plus Marvel collaboration.
Yes.
They've got quite a record to keep up with.
Yeah, so after WandaVision, I was really excited for this.
Okay, I was not excited about WandaVision.
Right, I wasn't either.
I saw the previews and I was like, what? What is this? This isn't Marvel. Got super excited about it as it went.
Yeah, no.
I thought, okay, Marvel again knows what
by
they're doing.
the end, huge fan.
Yeah, big fan by the end of it. So now we come to Falcon and Winter Soldier, and when I watched the previews, I was super excited about this.
Yeah, one. I was like, okay, they're gonna go more like buddy cop kind of action, more like what we're used to in a Marvel movie.
Yes.
I feel like it's kind of more of the like rough and tumble action, whereas the other one was more like the psychological, like. And I was excited, and I don't dislike Falcon or the Winter Soldier.
No, and I felt like they're both really underutilized in the movies. I mean, I've always liked Sebastian Stan's Bucky. I've always been fascinated. I've always thought, wow, like 10 movies in, and we're still not really getting to hear his story the way I want to hear it.
Right, and I love Anthony Mackie. I think he's brilliant. All of his little things he got in, I guess he was in Civil War and a couple other things. I just enjoyed him, and I always felt like they were more dynamic and interesting, even sometimes more so than Steve Rogers, because Steve Rogers isn't meant to be the super dynamic. He's like the good guy,
and then it's like vanilla guy.
Exactly, yeah. And he did that brilliantly. And then these two were like just
the
interesting,
color and the character, and so I'm so looking forward to seeing more about them.
Yeah,
and frankly, I think they have great chemistry.
Oh, I honestly, after the first episode or so, I wasn't as interested, and I was like, I will watch it for the chemistry, because the two of them laughing and joking off together, like, and having fun, and their dynamic is brilliant.
They are, and it's a good matchup, and that makes for a good core for the series.
Oh yeah.
So the series itself kind of takes off after the whole Endgame saga, the disappearance, and everyone's come back.
Yeah.
And so the MCU is kind of moving on in time now. The problem is MCU has not had a lot of time since Endgame to establish what the world is like post.
And that's what I think that's what these shows are for. Yeah, I think that's the whole.
Well, we had Wanda, but Wanda's problem was Wanda's in a whole different world. Wanda was inside of a bubble and not really interacting with the outside world. So we don't really have a taste of what's happening in the world.
No,
Avengers versus the world, how people feel about each other.
Other than Rambo coming back and her mom being gone, but that was pretty much the extent of like the interaction of what happened with the blip.
So now it's up to Falcon Winter Soldier to kind of establish this, because this takes place in our world as it is. Yeah. But they're not really dealing with it very much.
No.
And so it leaves us kind of going, where are we with things? Where are we with the Avengers? Where are we with the world and how they view the Avengers? And you get a little bit of it. People recognize Falcon and people recognize Bucky to some degree.
Kind of less so.
You're an Avenger. So there seems to be a little bit of that, but there's a little ambiguity.
Yeah, and it's just weird. Like we all. It feels strange because we recognize them because we watched all the movies. And then in this world, there aren't Avenger movies that these people are watching, but they see them on the news. But then they're having reactions like you're talking to one of the Avengers, like from our world that had the MC. It's a very weird crossover of how famous would you actually be if you saved the world, but there were no TV cameras around? Like no one was there filming but then it was like, you beat Thanos. And it's like, did you watch Endgame in this world? It was just a weird dynamic.
So when it gets to this, it's a matter of the new scenario is now we have kind of some terrorists now. So they're called the flag smashers.
Yes.
And the terrorists are people who want no borders. They want everyone to be like no isolated countries. They want everyone to kind of be all one
So from what I can gather, during the blip, during the 5 years people were gone, everyone just kind of had to band together like globally to try to survive, because half the population was gone. There were huge holes left in governments and systems. And so people didn't really care so much about like, this is my country, because they were just like, we have to survive. And it was kind of this weird post-apocalyptic thing. And so then everyone came back, and then they decided, we'll just go back to the way it was 5 years ago, ignoring.
Right, and these folks don't want to do that.
Right.
And so they are a group of people who have apparently developed a super serum.
So they didn't develop it, but they stole it from. They stole it from a scientist who was part of Hydra before Hydra was S.H.I.E.L.D. and.
Whew, it gets complicated. Yeah. They got some serum, and now they're all Captain Americans.
Super soldiers.
But they're terrorists as well. So these are kind of the heavy bad guys of the series. Yeah. One of a couple of heavy bad guys in the series.
Yes.
The problem, I think, the series may be having is too many bad guys. And none of them are developed enough.
No.
Because we also have now the situation where Falcon has given the shield that Captain America gave him to the government to be put on display next to Captain America's uniform, because Captain America's gone now. Now, he wasn't gone last time we saw him.
No, he is gone.
Well, he's elderly, but he's not
Okay,
gone.
but like we just
he's
assume.
not dead. He's
No,
just old.
but he's not going to show up.
Well,
like...
so apparently not. So we're mourning the loss of Captain America. We've got a shield put away.
Yeah.
He gives it to the government as a display because he doesn't feel like he should be the one to carry it. It's
Steve's.
It's Steve Rogers. And so the government then immediately takes the shield back out of the case, gives it to a fake guy.
Okay, let's
played
discuss.
by Wyatt Russell, whom I have deep sympathy for.
Let's discuss John Walker.
John Walker is the new Captain America.
Yes.
Wyatt Russell's the unfortunate actor who
I
had
feel
to play
I'm
this
so
role,
sorry.
who's gotten so much backlash.
And he does a fine job as an actor.
He
like
did nothing wrong.
And that's the thing. I feel so bad for him because I also don't like John Walker, but I feel for the actor.
You're not supposed to.
Because he's doing exactly what he's supposed to do. We don't like him.
Right.
And what's interesting with John Walker, the character, is he's from the comic books. This is a line in the comic books where Captain America gives up the shield. He retires. He says he's done. He gives up the shield. He gives it to Sam. Sam gives it to the government, and the government gives it to John Walker.
Okay.
This is like based in comic books.
I did not know that.
And so John Walker in the comics is like this. He is kind of the same kind of guy. He's like a soldier who's just a really smart, really like accomplished soldier. Okay. He's also supposed to be he's supposed to like be from Georgia, super southern, nice guy, but also kind of like a little oily, but kind of a nice guy. You know how most comic books portray southerners for reasons. And he is supposed to like, it kind of also follows this line of he wanted to be a good Captain America. He's not inherently a bad guy.
And that's the impression you get from the TV show.
Yeah, and so I feel like they did that well. Yeah. He was trying to be a good guy.
People are just mad because it's not Chris Evans.
Well, yeah, and
that's all we're mad about. And
yeah.
apparently that's causing this huge backlash. And this poor Wyatt Russell's getting death threats.
Is he
now.
really?
Yes, people are attacking him all over social media for trying to be Captain America when he's not.
But
Chris
he's
Evans.
not trying to be Captain America. He's playing a
he's
character.
reading the script, people. I don't know what to tell you.
That's
so please
problematic.
back off Wyatt Russell. The man did nothing wrong but do his job as an actor and play the role he's supposed to play.
And the character of John Walker goes on and is successful in the MCU outside of Captain America. So like he goes through a couple different like iterations. So he does have the shield and he is a Captain America stand-in. And then as we've seen, if you've caught up to date, he goes a little nuts and has some anger issues and takes the super serum and is now a superhero as well, but is not the most morally upstanding
the
guy.
show's kind of make him into a supervillain though.
Yeah, which is interesting because basically that happens in the comic books and the government's just like, nah, we'll take the shield back now.
Okay, this whole shield thing drives me crazy.
Me
This is what
too.
drives me crazy about this whole, from the end of Endgame, it drove me nuts. The shield is a piece of metal. Vibranium metal, super cool shield. It is not Captain America's sole power.
No, it's
not. The
not.
serum and being a super soldier is the sole power.
Yeah.
Handing someone a piece of metal does not make them a superhero. It makes them a guy with a cool shield.
The shield is in fact just a shield.
But we're all acting as if having the shield makes you Captain America.
Yes.
And I do not understand that.
I feel like we're putting way too much importance.
We're putting a lot of importance on the symbolism of the shield.
Yeah, and I understand to some extent it's like the guy who has the shield has the legacy to live up to.
That's what he's
the
got.
logo.
I don't understand why that makes you Captain America.
Because the government said so. But yeah, I just don't. I agree. I don't understand. And then they're really angsty about the shield. And Bucky and Sam are really angsty. And Bucky's like, I'm gonna go take the shield. Sam's like, maybe we should destroy it, Lord of the Rings style, where maybe the shield has too much power and we should have thrown it in a volcano when we had the chance. And that's the vibe I got.
Well, Bucky to me is a super soldier. Mm-hmm. He has all the same powers as Steve Rogers.
And an arm.
And a super cool titanium, vibranium arm.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not the... So he has the vibranium arm. Give the boy the shield and let him be Captain America. Wouldn't that have been a simple solution?
Yes, but he's in therapy, so we can't do that.
But he's doing better. The
He
people
is
of
doing
Wakanda
better.
have helped him. And I've loved the Wakanda tie-in on this show.
I do too.
That has been so much fun to see the Wakanda warriors come back.
I feel like we glossed over it in the MCU movies. Like he showed up at the end of Black Panther,
Yeah.
like the Wakandas were helping him. And then we just kind of like glossed through it because more important things like Thanos were happening. So I'm so excited to get to see the tie back
I
to
think that's a story they should go back to.
Oh, yeah.
I think his time in Wakanda would be fascinating to follow. I think that's a story we shouldn't have glossed over. And they're trying to hit on it a little bit in the show.
They are.
And it's fun to watch. It's fun to see some of the characters back and see the location and kind of find out what happened with Bucky along the way.
I loved when the Wakandan warriors beat John's.
I didn't. And this is another thing. I think the
cracked me
show
up.
is misfiring to me.
Okay.
And I'll be honest with you, I think the show's a little bit boring.
Oh, I do too. I got so bored. I was watching it last night and I was so bored.
I love the chemistry between the two lead characters. There's not enough of it.
Yeah, they don't talk to each other nearly enough.
They don't get to banter as much as I would like. I think that's a strength of the show, and I think they're overlooking it.
Yeah.
I think the use of the Wakanda warriors is a shame because they are all coming back to capture Zemo.
Yeah.
Because they have a beef because he killed their
because he's a
president.
bad guy.
Yeah, and they're trying to. They're upset that he's been freed from jail, and that
As they
Sam
should
and
be.
Bucky's freed him in order to find out what they need to find out.
I have issues with that
they're
too.
Upset
We'll talk
with
about
him,
that
and
later.
I get that, but their whole battle sequence where they're like fighting the bad
And then
guys.
they detach his arm,
And
which
they
I
detach
thought
his
was
arm.
amusing.
Well, it was great, but the problem is that the guy they were actually there to get, Zemo, was walking out the door
Yeah,
while
no,
everyone
that
was
was
busy
very
fighting.
weird.
And to me, that's not characteristic of the Wakanda
No,
warriors to
that's
be
true.
that unfocused, to be so caught up in a melee with other
To
people.
get that petty and personal about something and not accomplish their goals,
and
not what
watch
we've
their
established.
goal walk out the door. To me,
So-
that was out of character, which is just another miswritten misfire from the show.
Zemo, I have so many issues with the whole Zemo storyline.
I burn out on Zemo pretty quickly.
Yeah, and the actor, I mean, he does a
He's
fine
fine.
job. It's just the character is a villain,
Yep.
and he's terrible, and he did horrible, awful things.
Yep.
And the fact we let him out of jail really bothers me. And the fact that Bucky's fine. He goes against the law. He goes rogue. He's a vigilante. It's fine. The fact that Sam, who's supposed to be kind of our moral compass. Like, we don't have a strong moral compass in this show. It's
Sam's
kind
the
of
closest thing we
like
got.
he's the closest thing we got to a moral compass. And the fact that he we just kind of glossed over the whole like Zemo getting released thing.
He did have the line, Zemo kind of got himself out.
It's not the same. It bothered me. It just
Okay.
bothers me. And then it bothers me that
character.
Zemo just walks out of every single situation.
Yeah,
He
untouched.
just escapes.
But none of it bothers me as much as Zemo's dancing at the nightclub. That was hard to watch.
I was like, we went
Like, what are we doing here with
from,
this?
I was like, I was just, during the nightclub dancing moment, I was just having this moment of like, we went from a beautifully intellectual discussion of vision versus vision and the whole ship thing and the philosophy, and to this show where we're dancing on I was like, I feel like we've maybe taken a step back in
I feel like
content.
we've lost a little bit of the meanness of our villain here too, because it's painful to watch.
Am I supposed to like Zemo?
I don't know. I think he's one of those he could break either way kind of characters.
Yeah.
He could break for be helpful. He could break and be destructive. You're never quite sure, and that's often an interesting writing tactic to have a
Sure.
character that could help you or destroy you at any point in time. It adds a lot of tension to the story. I
it
get
does.
it. It's a device, and it's an effective one, I think.
It is. I just, he was so much the big bad guy in so many things, and in comic books and all this, he's a big bad guy.
Right.
So the fact that we've reduced him to dancing and Turkish delight bothers me, because I feel like we're just undermining any scariness he has consistently.
We're
And
making him very normal.
yeah, and I was like, am I supposed to like him? And this is the thing too. He's bad because the Avengers destroyed Sokovia.
Right.
Apparently breaking Sokovia was the worst thing the Avengers have ever done.
And left him destitute.
Right.
Except that now he's a baron with a jet plane.
He was always a baron with a jet plane.
Yeah, but if you go back to the Avengers, they kind of set him up as being a loner, a destitute loner whose life has been wiped out
By
And
Sokovia.
now all of a sudden he's extremely wealthy.
Well, he was a
because
baron
we need
of
him to be
Sokovia.
in this story.
Yeah. He was the baron of Sokovia. And
Which
then
is
they
destroyed.
broke it. And then he got really angry and tried to destroy the Avengers, which is not his motives in the comics either. And that bothers me because it's like those just feel like very weak.
Well, I'm all for letting the story take on its own life. I understand we
yeah.
got a whole body of work with the comics. I understand we got a whole world to draw from. And it's awesome that you can pull all these characters out of that world because they're so creative. But I'm okay with letting the movies and the TV shows kind of take their own course.
I'm okay with them changing things. What just makes me sad is when they take really interesting characters from the comic books or big bad guys that have like a moral sense of like wrong and this is like I am evil, and then they just kind of like water them down into the guy wearing the fur collar and handing handing people Turkish delight, a la White Witch from Narnia.
Yeah,
and
I think of that too.
Right? He was like, it's Turkish delight. My son used to love it. I was like, was your son Edmund? Were you alive in World War? Like,
Edmund's dad.
I should not have been so bored watching this show that I went on a whole Narnia rabbit trail looking at it. That just, again, I was so bored.
Well, here we got all the bad guys. We've got the fake Captain America, who's basically a bad guy. We've got the Flag Smashers, who are bad guys. And now we have the Power Broker, which is this nebulous person above all this whom we've not met yet.
No.
Who is also a bad guy. And so, and none of them are very well developed, so we don't really understand them very well. I don't understand the Flag Smashers' philosophy. They seem self-contradictory, so I can't quite tell what their theories is. So we're chasing them through 4 episodes now, and I'm a little bored with them.
Yeah.
And I'm bored with chasing them. The fight scenes are just okay.
I will say, I really like Carly. The girl who plays Carly. I
She's
like
fine.
her. I find that character interesting. Flag Smasher wasn't a group. It was in the comics, he was a person.
Oh. Well,
so it's interesting because they're trying to like expand one person into like this whole gang, which is
a movement.
Yeah, and a movement, but I feel like they didn't do it. But she's interesting.
Well, you're supposed to like Carly. You're supposed to empathize with
And then
her.
she kills people.
And then she murders people, and I'm like, do I still supposed to empathize with her?
Yes!
'Cause I'm having a hard time. I don't quite know what she believes.
She blew people up in the building, and then the next episode, Sam's like, I get where you're coming from. I don't like your methods, but I get what you're coming from. And she murdered people!
I don't get where she's coming from. I'm trying to get where she's coming from, but I feel like it's a flaw in the writing. I'm not getting where she's coming from. I know there's a dead woman that they all mourn the loss of, who's like a mother figure, but we know nothing about her.
I couldn't figure out why.
It's just too little information for us to be that engaged with these characters. So we're not, and so therefore we're not that engaged with the pursuit of these characters, which makes the show a little slow for me.
Yeah.
A little meandery and a little slow. Now, we do have this whole backstory with Isaiah Bradley, who I thought was fascinating. We only hit it for like one scene.
I really hope we come back.
I think we have to.
I
think we have
hope
to. He was
so.
apparently like an original Captain America back in the Vietnam War. Was that right? And he was given the serum and was a super soldier back then.
It was when they were testing this super serum. So I guess after Captain America, a lot of people tried to develop the super serum. That's actually how Banner got his powers, is because he was trying to develop it, and then he fell into the thing. So it's been like a whole Marvel line for a long time of like, we're trying to figure out how to do this and it be stable. It only really ever worked in Steve Rogers. Right. So that I guess they figured out Isaiah's the one like person who got the super soldier serum and like was okay.
And Isaiah's a black man. And so we kind of throw back to the 60s of they didn't want him to be Captain America because he was a black man.
He had to do a bunch of covert things.
So they end up putting him in jail and tucking him away from society so that no one knew he was there, and then tested stuff on him for years, for like 30 years.
It was a horribly sad story we covered in like a minute and a half, and I really hope we come back to it.
There's so much more to that story, and I hope the series comes back in the last 2 episodes. There's only 2 episodes left.
He and Sam didn't really get to talk at all, and I'd love to, because he, like, Bucky would fight, but I would be really interested to see him and Sam talk. And so I felt like there was a whole lot.
But that's a fascinating storyline, and I hope that we continue pursuing it. As far as the series moving forward, apparently this 5th episode coming up Friday is apparently the one that the showrunner, Malcolm Spellman, who has openly talked about since last March, saying that's the episode I can't wait for everybody to see.
But what do you think that...
he said you'll be in tears by the end. I have no idea what's
we'll
going to
kill
happen.
off old Captain America.
Well,
I bet John Walker's going to be evil and kill off.
Oh.
What else is it going to be?
Well, that moment now where John Walker's caught killing a soldier in front of everybody, and they stood that last iconic picture of him with the shield with blood on the bottom where he murdered a man. And it's like, okay, well, Steve Rogers has killed people before.
Yeah, we just didn't do that and stab him.
Different. And
it was not murder revenge. Steve never did murder revenge.
This was murder revenge for the loss of his friend Lamar,
which was sad. I liked Lamar.
I thought Lamar was so much more interesting than
John.
John.
Yeah, no,
let's just keep Lamar.
I was like, I thought they were a fun pair, and I was sad that they killed him so quickly. He might come back. You never know. It's Marvel.
It's Marvel. He may have his own series by next year.
He is a superhero. The guy is a superhero in the Marvel comics, so they have a chance.
No one dies in Marvel world. They just get recycled.
Yes, by the Power Broker very frequently. Yes.
So the whole thing playing up with there's going to be a cameo coming up in episode 5, an MCU cameo, and this is, I don't know if it's a big cameo. People are all speculating what it might be. Like, is Steve Rogers going to show up? I kind of doubt that. I don't think the show can afford that in their budget. I'm wondering if it's going to be an MCU cameo that we'll all go, oh, hey, it's so-and-so from this movie. Or it'll be like a Marvel character played by someone famous that we'll all go, who?
Yeah. Or
look,
it'll just be like
Johnny Depp.
Benedict Cumberbatch comes in for like 2 second.
I don't think they can afford him either. I don't know.
No, that's true. They probably
the
can't afford
budget's
him.
low. I'm not going to hold my breath that it's a famous MCU character that we already know.
You think it's going to be?
I think it's going to be some random person.
I'm also worried
I'll be
it's
like,
just going to be a flashback where they they bring in Steve Rogers, but not to have anything bearing on, like he and Bucky will have like a flashback moment where he's like in his memory, and that's it. And that to me is such a letdown when people are like cameos.
I doubt that, because I doubt that Chris Evans would let that be his last appearance in
No,
America
probably
after
not.
the big playoff in Endgame.
I don't know that
I
he'll
don't
come
think
back.
they would bring him back. I think it'll be somebody else.
It'll be Wanda or Vision will come back. We'll tie it all together. It'll be great.
They have a lot to tie up in 2 episodes.
Yeah, they really do.
We have a lot of loose ends. We got to go back and we got to fix the whole his friend whose son he murdered.
Oh yeah, Bucky murdered someone's son. That was the thing.
We still have to go back and the little girl he started playing Battleship with. That relationship.
I don't think we're ever gonna go back to that.
I don't know. We got to tie up these loose ends. We got to figure out what's going on with Isaiah. We got to tie up his
Sam and
storyline.
his sister and the boat and the children and
the children who are now being threatened. And it's just,
right.
Sarah and her connection possibly to the power broker, which you were speculating. Sharon, who was
Sarah's his sister.
I mean, she was the neighbor in Captain America.
She is the nurse. She's Peggy's granddaughter.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, she's like Peggy's granddaughter, and she was the neighbor, and she's the sweet nurse.
Yes, but she was also working for
Shield or something like that, and then she got the wings and gave them to Sam, and got the shield and gave them to Cap, and now she's very bitter because she didn't get pardoned like all the rest of the Avengers. She got in trouble, which doesn't make sense to me.
Well, it makes for a nice plot device because now they'll get
now
her
she's a bad guy,
or she has a reason to be a bad guy.
I think she's the power broker. I think she's the power broker because she got in a car with a driver after all of that was done
for her.
That was waiting for her, like she set it up and then was like in a very powerful bad guy kind of way got the car and said we have a couple of problems.
I felt it was odd that there was a car and a driver waiting for her at the end of that battle.
Just chilling.
I was like,
she's just more connected and more powerful than we currently know.
So that leads you to believe she might be the power broker.
I think
she's
gonna be working for the power broker. I think she's on the hunt for the serum to get it back for the power broker. Whether she is the power broker or she's now a super soldier and the power broker gave her powers.
We've
Either
got
way,
2 episodes to figure it out.
And also, I'd just like to know this show is a lot more violent than.
Yes.
It's a lot more gruesome. I think this is one thing I was really surprised about because it's more gruesome than a Marvel movie. When it comes to the amount of blood and gore that we see, there's a lot more really hard hitting, really gruesome things. So just a note, if you haven't seen all of it yet and you're I'll let my kids watch. It's about Captain America's friends.
A lot more language in this.
Yeah,
than the
it's
movie too.
just a little darker.
It's just edgier and darker than most
It's
Marvel
a lot
stuff.
grittier.
I think they're testing the waters to see if that will fly because Marvel's very big on having families be able to come see their movies together.
Right. So I was really surprised at this because I would not necessarily let young kids watch this. This is not. Whereas WandaVision didn't have anything that was that violent. So it was just a different take than you normally see, especially from Captain America's buddies.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not against a grittier show. I just don't think they're doing it quite right.
Well, yeah. Again, I think it's uneven. I think it's hit and miss. I think some of the action sequences are great, but there's so few of them in the whole series.
Yeah.
They're big when they're there, but they're not there a lot of the time.
Watching super soldiers fight each other is not as interesting as I thought it would be.
No, I think a lot of series have done that before.
Yeah, it just looks like big strong guys hitting each other, and
a lot.
There's no variation in power because everyone has the serum now. Yeah. So it's just except poor Sam, who's just
So we're back to having normal guys hitting each other. It just they just smash more sets when they do it. So to me, that's not super innovative.
Yeah,
and it's not super different because the fight scenes are nice, but they're not exactly spectacular.
So even from an action perspective, it's just not as interesting as other action.
I mean, there were better fight sequences in that Daredevil TV show.
Yeah, that had some cool action sequences.
Amazing action
sequences. I loved those.
And that was a much lower budget show than this. So I feel like in some ways the show's kind of faltered.
Yeah.
I think they haven't played to their strengths, and I think
No.
they have strengths. I think there's a show that's got good elements.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, those elements are being swallowed up by lesser elements.
Yeah.
And I think that's a showrunner problem. It's not the actors. It's the
No.
writing. And it's the showrunners. And hopefully they
agree.
can correct course. Hopefully they can blow us away these last 2 episodes, because WandaVision kind of turned a corner.
Yeah.
Wow on this.
We just have already gotten to 4 of 6, and I'm less interested now than I was at the beginning, which is a hard direction to go.
I find myself watching an episode going, I hope this one's really good. I hope
Yeah,
this one's
yeah.
really good. And each time going, well, that wasn't quite what I thought it was. I think 5 is supposed to be, this one's really good.
So I'm
hopefully it goes
interested.
out with a bang. I mean, I like the people. I like the crew. It's talented people.
Yeah.
I wish them well. but at
Exactly.
this
I wish
point-
them the best.
At this point, I'm just looking forward to Loki.
Yeah, I'm so
That's
excited
the
for
one-
Loki.
That's the one I'm the most excited about and have been since the beginning. So
Yeah,
we'll
I'll just
see. So 2
push 'em
episodes
through.
left. We hope you enjoy it.
Yeah.
Hopefully you want to share your opinion with us. Please let us know what you think
Yeah.
about it. I'm sure we've not covered half of what you want to talk
Yeah,
about.
there's lots more to this
There's
show,
lots
I'm
more
sure. Mm-hmm.
to it than you want to go through. But let us know what you think, and keep watching on Cine-pop Reacts. We will talk more about Marvel shows.
Yeah, more to
Marvel
come.
movies, and we hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.